Hello, friends. Glad to see you all. Welcome back to Attack the Pantry. I am Jenn De Vega. This stream is a deep dive into ingredients, cooking techniques, and recipes to help you cook for yourself during this panini and, the rest of your adult life. Throw us an egg in the chat if you like what you're hearing and seeing. Last time on the show, we talked to my friend JV, aka Hiccup Truck, here on Twitch, about saying no to FOMO in the kitchen. You can watch all of the past clips here on the channel if you click on videos, or you can head to youtube.com/JENNDLV and you can subscribe there. I believe I have a link to it that I can show you on the screen. Check it out. We're being so fancy right now. I love it. Let us know if the audio sounds good, and if you're having trouble, let us know and we can fix things right away. But getting the business out of the way, I am a Twitch affiliate. That means that with every subscription to this channel, you can help me make this show happen every week. But a shortcut is, if you have Amazon Prime, you can gift a subscription to your favorite creators every month. So if you have one, click on that purple button that says gift a sub and you can connect your account. You get this tiny little crown next to your name in the chat. And remember that it refreshes every month, so you can take turns and support different creators on Twitch any which way you want. But lots of really great links below the video here to support the channel. There's a Patreon, there's an Etsy where you can get my cookbook, and lots of other things. Most importantly, the new blocks that I have down there are to submit your photos to be featured here on the stream, and an affiliate link for Omsom, which is an Asian American woman-led condiment company. It's called meal starters, so it's like flavor packets that are not dried up and stale. It's all fresh ingredients with ideas from real chefs all over the place, and it's super good. I really like it, and if you click and buy things from there, you will A, support their business, and B, support me for every purchase that goes through that link. So it's very exciting. But now that the business is out of the way, I have a guest today. My friends, please welcome my guest for today. Hello. Who are you, and what's your biz? What's your deal?
I'm Miguel Banuelos. I'm the owner, operator, purveyor, brains and hands behind Salsa Pistolero, which is both salsa company, but also I do all sorts of stuff: marketing, consulting, catering, partying, all of the above.
This is why we are kindred spirits.
Exactly.
I love that. So do you remember how we met?
I do. I remember I don't even remember what social media platform it was on. Was it Twitter? I don't even remember.
It might have been Twitter.
I think so. And I saw that you were doing your little egg event Kickstarter, and nothing goes better with eggs than salsa. So I was like, hey, who wants salsa? I will bring it. We'll party. Let's add it to the mix. You've got 1,000 condiments. Let's make it 1,006. So I brought the salsas, and we had a good time.
Yeah. For people who don't know, I used to do a lot of kind of culinary installations or parties, and I loved figuring out how we could make as many boats of nachos as possible, or as many eggs as possible, and everybody got to eat all different kinds of combinations, and your salsa was a wonderful addition to that. So we've started to follow each other and become friends over that time, and so I'm really glad to have you here on the show. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Today, friends, we are going to be talking about tacos, which I think, Miguel, you have a lot of experience with.
A lot. Decades and decades.
Yeah, it's an understatement to say a lot, actually. But first, we have a segment on the show where we like to show off what people have been cooking this week. I know. I'm going to put this up on the screen. Oh my God, Taco Day! Tacos are not just for Tuesday, everybody.
No, and that's a bad example for our children. There's only one day. No, they're for every day and for every time of day.
Absolutely. I agree. We're going to talk later about any time of day tacos. I love that. But for folks who are new to the stream, you can be featured in this next segment if you tag me on your Instagram and Twitter photos of your cooking photos, or if you take a picture of stuff you see at the market that you don't quite understand or don't know how to cook it, we will happily answer your questions about that. So I'm going to actually get the chat on my phone so I don't miss out on any of you. And then I'm going to share my screen. I promise that it's not scary. All right, let's share the screen. Go. Go. Takes a little longer than I wanted to, but here we are. Welcome to my screen, everybody. Let's check out what people submitted this week. First, we have Hope. A college friend of mine said she made garlic butter croutons. I don't remember the last time I've made croutons. When was the last time you made croutons?
You know, so this is going to be a long story to tell that short story of making croutons, but I used to work at Astor Center where they do wine and cheese and food classes.
Oh.
And so I would always get tons of leftover bread.
Oh.
So it was like having tons of leftover bread every 2 or 3 days. So I would make croutons with all the leftover bread all the time. But now that I'm not doing that, I'm like, I never make croutons. I never have stale bread. Anymore. No panzanella anymore. I need to get back to that.
Panzanella. I have a cousin. I'm not going to say which of my cousins, but when he was a baby, you know how kids, they have this fixation on certain foods, like, you know, snacks, like fruit snacks or whatever. This kid was obsessed with croutons and ranch dressing.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's so good. I made fun of him for a minute, and then I just started sitting there with this 3-year-old in my lap, just eating it with him.
I think I used to eat croutons a lot, like in the middle school and high school, and then I realized how salty they are. Like you buy them like packaged croutons, and I was like, oh, these are really, really salty.
Yeah.
So I need to chill with that.
Yeah, Hope was like, when she sent me this photo, she was like, oh, this isn't like chef quality or like anything exciting. I was like, are you kidding? This is so exciting.
Yeah. And then people don't even know they could make their own. Like, that's the kind of thing that obviously you can make your own, but no one really thinks of it.
Seriously. Oh my gosh, Danelle, thank you for subscribing for 13 months in a row. Wow. Thank you so much. And comment going along with it. Been doing this for 13 months already? I know. I took a month break, but yeah, technically 13 months. I can't believe it either. But thank you so much for your support. And great to see you last night, by the way. This is a masterpiece. This is from my friend Kate, who's in Georgia. She calls it Call Me Pie Your Name.
Good one.
And it's Lil Nas X as a berry pie, putting on the devil crown.
That is art.
It is. She was like very mysterious on Twitter. Like, I'm going to try something on the weekend. I'm like, what is it going to be? And then when she posted this, I had no idea this is what she had in mind. There's like gold leaf on there.
Wow.
You see that? There's like the tiny specks of gold leaf. This is incredible.
Incredible.
Yes. I hope Pieberry is here in the chat, or if Pieberry catches up in the VOD, you got to see this pie. It looks like she made the crust, and then it has a different puff pastry on top that she painted.
Wow.
I don't know what the curled up thing is. It might be, I don't know. I think it's supposed to be all berries. Oh, it's also dough, but she just painted it red.
Oh.
That's really cool. She even scalloped the horns there.
Yeah, and it looks like him. Like there's no question
it really looks like him.
No question. Like obviously that's him.
Great job, Kate. We love to see a masterpiece.
Absolutely.
But also, friends, do not feel intimidated about sending your photos in. Not all of them are going to look like this. Robert, who is in the chat, sent along your collard and slaw sandwich, and the recipe was from the Turkey and the Wolf cookbook. Have you heard of this place, Turkey and the Wolf?
I have not.
It's a place in New Orleans. It's a restaurant, and they do a lot of really cool, I don't know, I think a lot of wacky combinations. Like they had a Thanksgiving crunch wrap or, things like that. I think that's fun.
Well, it's in New Orleans, so they've got to be good because there's way too much competition to be bad in New Orleans.
There's so much good food in New Orleans. I had a muffaletta, that sandwich from a deli that is like pressed. It's like a thick slab. I had etouffee on a hot dog.
Ooh.
Yeah, the beignets. This is a couple years ago already.
Yeah, there's one of my favorite places in New Orleans called Cochon. And they had easily the best head cheese I've ever had in my life. It was so good. And it was sprinkled with like fresh parsley. So it made it really interestingly different. It was like there was some medium kind of pickled-y but lots of gelatin in there, a nice slice. Oh, it was so good. Like life-changing.
Wow, I'll have to go next time. This is from Sam. I have to read the file name because I didn't remember the whole thing. It's a Genoise sponge, like from British Bake Off.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. Anise berry bitter orange marmalade finish.
Mary Berry would approve.
Yeah, her and her cute jackets. Oh yes, we're catching up in the chat with Emily saying that pie is incredible. Yes, it was incredible. Janelle says, "Don't send pictures unless art." JK.
Or not. Both are totally okay.
This is beautiful as well, you know,
is.
and it's just a pile of berries on a cake, and I love that.
This is magazine worthy as well.
This is definitely magazine, especially with the glassware in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Sam, this is gorgeous. Thank you for sending it in. Wow. Sean, who was in the chat last week, was saying they had a solo Thanksgiving, and instead of doing a turkey, they did a whole roast chicken, and that's like perfectly sized for like one person, or you know, leftovers for one person. This looks great, and I love how the skin is like it's got all the spice on the outside. It's like real tight and like, I hope crispy for you. But looks delicious. And there's a follow-up photo of the plate. That's a Thanksgiving. You see that mac and cheese square in the corner?
Oh,
goodness. Yeah.
I always thought that, like, that's the only, or maybe Christmas, depending on who you are, but like that's the only time that we actually load up one plate with everything at once anymore. Like everyone is really getting into coursing and everything, but like the one time a year that you will definitely put 6 different things on one plate, Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I agree.
That's lacking. We need more of that. You need more food touching.
Yes, more food touching. Yes. I think people, because there's just so many recipes available online, people are just piecemealing things from different websites and not thinking about, like, does it actually go together?
Yeah. And that's when the happy accidents happen, right? Like you get that cranberry with the mashed potatoes, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, with a little turkey on this. Wow, all together,
that was delicious. Yeah, I got to have more interaction there on the plate, but I love a Thanksgiving. It's definitely my favorite eating holiday. Absolutely. For sure. Just catching up with stuff that I did this week. I went to a pop-up. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's Krung, Cambodia.
No, but yum.
Yes. They were doing a collaboration with Hasdakbiet. I think that's how you say it. Or I don't know if I said it right. I'm very sorry. Please correct me in the chat if I said it wrong. They all did a pop-up at Grim Ales here in Brooklyn. It's like a 15-minute walk from my house. So I was like happily fed.
Gotta
go. But these are pork sausage patties that were like super spicy. They had chili pickle and fish sauce on them, some fermented celery, and this awesome peanut salad with all these fresh herbs. And my mouth is watering looking at it. I know,
that sounds perfect. I like all those words. Keep saying all those words.
It's great on a hot day, like incredible. But I don't know if you saw this happening on the New York Times, but they were doing this pop-up at 99 Scott, which is a venue in Bushwick, and they got a New York Times review saying that it is basically the song of the summer is this pop-up. And as soon as that review came out, the 3 chefs quit.
Oh.
Because they were like, you know what, we got this, and we don't need to take the BS anymore from the venue.
Wow.
So
yeah, well, you know what?
They just separated and were like, listen, if you really like our food, like, find us at the next thing.
Yeah, that's the power, man. That's I always tell people, especially like if you're a freelance worker or whatever, I'm like, you got to take that power. Like when stuff doesn't go right for you, you have the power to leave.
Yes, absolutely. It was really a wonderful, it's stressful the way that they had to go through that, but like a really wonderful moment for them, like total like validity, like totally. Hell yeah. It's like other people trying to control your narrative. It's like no good, so you got to leave.
Yeah. You've got all the power in that relationship because you've got the talent.
For sure. Speaking of pop-ups, this was a throwback to one of mine a while ago. This is a dashi brisket slider with a hazelnut pesto on top and a little spear pickle next to it. This was inspired by a wedding that I catered a couple years ago where we did dashi brisket sliders for the groom and groom. It was really fun because
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, we were just mashing up Jewish heritage and Hawaiian Japanese. So that's kind of where that idea came from.
I've been singing the praises of pickles recently, a lot more than usual, just because, and I figured out, well, one, I'm from Texas, and I was asking people if it's a regular snack thing for kids anywhere else in the country to eat like the giant pickles in the bag with the juice. And apparently it's not a thing everywhere else. I didn't know it was. Like, you can go to the movies and get like the giant pickle in the bag with the juice.
Six Flags.
Yeah, like that's the thing. And I realized, no, it's not everywhere. But two, like, I was thinking about it. I'm like, why do I love them so much? And I was like, you know what? I think a lot of it has to do with, well, obviously they're just there because the Germans and on all this stuff, there's tons of reasons. But the hot Texas weather and a cold, refreshing pickle is the greatest respite. Like, it's so good. It's so refreshing. You feel so much better. And like, you're getting your electrolytes and all the salt back. Like, it actually makes sense that it's actually so good. I was like, it never dawned on me. I just thought they were good. But now I know that's function.
If we get another 90-degree day, I'm just gonna load up on pickles.
Totally worth it.
Eat so many pickles, just cold from the fridge.
That's exactly what I do. It's great. I'm like, this is so good. It's like a cold drink of water.
I love that. I discovered a new sandwich place by my house. The guy at the counter was like, "Sweetie, I'm gonna make it special for you," and he like loaded it up double with all this meat. So it's like kind of like an Italian, like a Godfather sandwich you would find here on Graham Avenue. With tomato and lettuce. It was large and it was like $7. It was like as big as my head. Yeah. I was shocked. So I have a new spot in my neighborhood. What else has happened in my life? Oh, I had a special stream on Monday. I did a surprise stream because the person I mentioned earlier, Piebrary, he's usually in the Midwest. And every day has been trying to bake a pie. But since he was traveling to New York, he didn't really have like a home kitchen. So I invited him here to my house to do the pie stream with me. And so we did two slab pies. We did a Asian pear and star anise. He did this genius thing where he pressed the star anise into the top crust as a vent.
Oh.
And it looks pretty and it imparts the flavor. I was just like, where'd you get that idea? So I did a savory Japanese curry with shaved beef. And instead of covering the whole thing, I did a cow and polka dots,
Love it. Love it.
Silly. Very, very silly. But it turned out great. And I might have some photos here of it. This is a slice of it with a curry cream on top. The big pieces of the melted salt. I liked it so much. Like, it's really good. I'm a fan of a savory pie.
Yeah.
Do I have any more? Oh, this is when I took it to the bar last night. So that's the star anise pie on the left, and then on the right is my cow curry.
They love it when you show up at the bar, I bet.
The first bar got mad at me, and they were like, food has to be approved. But then the second bar, which was a little bit more divey, didn't care. Yeah. So just chomping on pie. Oh, thank you, Grizzytron. The cow is a wonderful touch. Thanks, Emily. The cow is so cute. Yes. I got to use this cow cookie cutter as much as possible because I don't really bake. So got to bring out the cow all the time.
Good time for it. And, you're supposed to be hearkening to what's in it. You got to explain to people visually what's in there, and that's perfect.
It's a hint.
My favorite story of Japanese curry, quick version, when I was in Japan last time, went to a Japanese curry place, got there really early because obviously it's going to get packed. It's a lunch place, and you got to get there at 10 in the morning if you want to eat at noon. But so I asked them, I was like, is it a big bowl? Is it a lot of food? And the woman was like, yeah, it's way too much food. Like, it's way too much. And then I was like, is it spicy? And they was like, super spicy if you get the spicy one. I was like, okay, good. So I got the big one and the spiciness, finished it, and she was like, whoa. I think like I either scared her or made her happy. I don't know which one it was, but there was definitely a response that was overwhelmed in some way.
That's funny.
I was like, that's what happens when you invite Mexicans. That's what we do. We eat all the food.
Like to eat.
That's what we do.
This is an announcement that we made on Monday on Instagram. This is a cookbook cover reveal. of cookbook that I worked on, which is very, very exciting. It's from Chef Angela Di Mayuga and the New York Times writer Ligaya Mishan. And I was the recipe tester for this book. So it's Filipinx, heritage recipes from the diaspora. So it's classic recipes from Angela's family, as well as her modern take on Filipinx food. And there's a little bit of a story in it because we wrote this during the pandemic. And I gotta say, it is really hard to make stuff when the world is falling apart. And Angela, this is a very specific thing that happened to Angela. She got stuck in, I believe, I don't remember which island group she got stuck in, but she was basically in the Caribbean for an artist residency and was supposed to come home after like a month. But then she got stuck there for the majority of the pandemic. And we were working on this cookbook, so it was a little more difficult to source, all of the ingredients that you need to make this cookbook. So it was like a really interesting creative challenge, but we did it and we turned it in, and now we're getting ready for the book to come out on October 19th. So it is available for pre-order now on Abrams Books. I'm so excited to share this with the world. I have other books that I'm working on now, but this is the first that's coming out this year, and I'm very, very happy about it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The world needs more Filipino food. So
right? Yes, I agree. And it's cool. Like, it's the first time I had ever worked on a fully Filipinx team. Like, yeah, it was just so special. It was just very, very special. And then finally, last night, I did my first live show with my podcast, Fun City. I think a bunch of people in the chat were there, either on the stream or in person. But for those of you who don't know who I am or what I do, besides food, I am on a tabletop role-playing podcast. We play the game Shadowrun, set in New York City, year 2101, and I'm a water witch.
Wow.
It's really fun. So it's improv. So they set up a scene for us. They tell us where we are, who we're talking to, and then we just have to react and figure out how to solve the problem. And it's an incredible time. I laughed really hard last night. And it's just really great to see your creative collaborators in person for the first time in a while and hug them and do things with them.
I'm sure. Makes such a difference, right?
Here's our cast photo, our serious cast photo with Kodiak, who is our intern, is sitting down. But thanks for everybody who came to the show. It was such a treat, and I hope we get to do one again soon. But that brings me to your photos, my friend. Do you have any specific order you want to go in here?
Yeah, let's roll the dice and see what happens.
Roll the dice. Let's just go with the shirt you're wearing right now.
All right.
What's going on here?
So these are all of my salsas, the 6 different ones. There's obviously the 2 like classic things that everyone considers of Mexican salsa, the red and the green, the tomatillo and the clásico. Mm-hmm. They're the basis, right, for everything. Then there's like the 2 riffs on those. The super clásico. I always say the clásico is the way my mom makes it, which is the reason I have done all of this, is because of my mom. The super clásico is the way I make it for me, which is extra, extra hot, double peppers, leave all the skins and the seeds and everything in there. It's really good. It's super flavorful. It's really kind of acidically bright because of all of that. But I always tell people, it's not like blow your face off hot. But halfway through the meal, it's going to start hurting.
Yeah,
which is the way I think it's supposed to do. Like, you should be able to get through it. You're like, oh, that's so good. That's so good. And then, like, 10 minutes later, you're like, wait a minute.
It's cumulative damage.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this deep, rich, heavy, like, not heavy, but like intense heat, which I love. But then I go back to the Clásico if I have leftovers of something, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's why I started this whole thing, because that's the one.
It's a classic. It works.
Exactly. And then the aguacate is basically the tomatillo, but with avocado. So It's mild, it's flavorful, it's fresh, it's bright, but then the avocado makes it nice and creamy. I have a friend who's like, it's the perfect salad dressing. It's like, it's my green goddess. It's got a little jalapeno zing in there. I'm like,
exactly. Yum. Really good idea. Oh, That sounds
And then
great.
the other two are the totally different. The top one there is the ranchera, which is not really ranchera salsa. That's a whole different thing. But I feel like I messed up with that because I was like, I should have thought forward. But that one is more like a mole. But I didn't want to call it a mole because I respect mole cooks way too much.
Sure. Yeah,
So
it's not like a cooked, like straight up mole. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like a 45 ingredients, and then this is burned, and then this is charred, and then this is smoked, and then they're all put together, and then they're dried, and then they're, it's not that. But it's smoked dried peppers, pumpkin seeds, and honey. So it's sweet and nutty and smoky and just a little bit of spice, but not a lot. It's really rich, and it's a great marinade. It's a great, like a mole. You just basically put it in a pan, put some chicken breasts and some sort of protein in there, cook it down for like 10, 15 minutes, boom, ready to go. A little sesame seed on there. Awesome.
Yes. I'm a huge fan of the pumpkin seeds and salsa.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. Like that mouthfeel is like unlike anything else.
Yeah, exactly. And it's weird, or it's different because it's not exactly nutty, but it has that kind of flavor. So it's like a different feeling, a different flavor. It's automatically less sweet than you think of as a peanut. So it's kind of got this more savory thing that I love. It's just fabulous.
Incredible.
And then the Chile De Arbol is the hot sauce, basically. It's smoked or grilled garlic, onion, and tomato with Chile De Arbol, which are these little bright, zingy peppers that look like the japonés, and they look like a lot of Asian peppers. They're shorter, thinner, smaller. Those are dried as well. And then apple cider vinegar. So you get like the hit of the pepper first, and you're like, that's bright, that's fruity but spicy. And then the vinegar kicks in. You're like, whoa, that just opened me up, and now it's even hotter.
Oh my gosh.
It's really good. I'm actually super surprised that it goes over so well when I do big tastings, because I think it's hot. It is very spicy. But people try just a little taste and like, ooh, that's so good. I'm like, I don't know. You better calm down, because it's gonna bite you. It's not a joke. It is for real. But yeah, people seem to love it, and I love doing that one with chicken or shrimp or fish, and then adding a little Mexican crema in there to cool it down. Yes. But then if you like make it, exactly. So you do that. I always do. If I do shrimp with it, I make sure I make a nice, really reduced shrimp stock with it. So it's got tons of shrimpy flavor, but then the richness of the cream and the brightness of the salsa. So it's spicy, hot, but it's perfect. Great. And just a really plain taco. It's all the flavor you need.
Catching up here in the chat, Robert says, my mouth is watering at all of these salsas.
And the other thing too is that, so one of the things about my salsa differentiator is that they're all fresh, right? So they're in the refrigerator. That's the differentiators. Everyone thinks that you can buy, your Tostito salsa from the pantry, shelf stable, with the blue onions. And I'm like, why would you do that? Why? It's terrible. It doesn't taste like anything. When it's so easy to make a salsa, much less buy a salsa. So when I noticed that wasn't a thing, I don't really think a lot of people think of salsa as a fresh thing that you can do. Even in restaurants are not a lot of times making it fresh, or either buying it, or they'll make it one day and then, have it for the next 4 or 5 days. I'm like, what's the point? Like, the whole point of salsa is it's fresh vegetables. They're delicious. So that's the thing, is that they're all really, really bright and fresh, and they taste like the vegetables. They're not super salty. They're not, vinegared over, except for the one that's got vinegar. But, they're very much about just the vegetables, which is how it should be.
Yeah, the thing about those shelf stable, like Tostitos kind of salsas, is that they have so many preservatives in them.
So much sugar, so much salt. Like, imagine putting sugar in a salsa. Like, that's not what you would do normally. So why would you just do it to preserve it? And people are always like, oh, well, you should do yours like that. I'm like, I can't. Like, I'm trying to do something in particular, and that would ruin it. Like, the two different ones, the ranchera and the Chile De Arbol, they can be canned because they've got honey, they've got vinegar, they've got all these stuff that can do that. So they can be shelf stable. They really will last forever. But the others are all about being fresh. If you buy them in the shops, they are less than a week old for sure. But I also like to announce when I put them in, because they're always best, like 2 days of. Like, get it right away. Don't think, oh, I'm going to buy it on Wednesday to eat on Sunday. Like, don't do that. Buy it that day. Trust me, it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like a special trip.
And I agree. Also, like, I've had these and they're delicious.
Thanks.
Yeah. Let's see what else we got here. Actually, I want to go to this.
Oh,
Can you,
yeah.
before you get into this, can you tell us where the name comes from?
So I was trying to evoke a couple of things. One of the things that I'm representing is a very particular strand of Mexican food, which is Northern Mexican, which is where my family's from, and South Texas.
Cool.
And Northeast Mexico, to be particular. And so that in and of itself, to me, I always look at it like it's kind of one area. The way we look at it, it's not really, there's not a border there. Like San Antonio is the same as Coahuila and Saltillo. Like it's the same. There just happens to be a border in the middle.
Yeah.
Like we always joke in San Antonio that San Antonio is the northernmost city in Mexico.
I like that.
Because it really, I mean,
it really is culturally, yeah.
65% of it is Mexican. Spanish is kind of basically 50-50, if not more, what everyone speaks. So really kind of that world is specific and unique in and of itself. Now, there's, of course, people can argue whether or not that's Mexican enough to be called Mexican food. People can argue whether or not it's, a Diana Kennedy argument of, oh, it's so bastardized, whatever. I'm cool with having the argument, but my point is this is the way I've always eaten. And on both sides of the border with my family in Mexico. My mom is actually back in Mexico and has been for 10, 15 years, as well as people in San Antonio or Brownsville or, even Austin at some point it got there. So very focused on that. So that in and of itself, I'm trying to kind of give you both with the name a Western feel, because that is the Wild West. Like that's where that stuff started. But also giving it's very Tex-Mex, Northern Mexican. It's not to be confused with Mexico City or the Yucatan or any of those things. It is, and it's in Spanish because the food is Mexican to me. So, and the other thing, there's two other things. One, I kind of wanted to evoke the smoky, hot spiciness of that.
Yeah.
And also the dumb one is that there's a soccer player that played for one of my favorite teams, and his nickname was El Pistolero. So
that rules.
So it worked out all together. It kind of tied it all together.
That's so cool. I'm getting like your lore.
Yeah, exactly. My origin story.
Yeah. Oh my God. So what's happening here with this?
So I
queso?
did a thing with the deli newsletter, Deligram, and they were like, "Hey, are you doing anything for 4th of July?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I definitely can." And one of the things that folks had asked me for a lot, or often asked me for, is queso, because good queso is hard to find in New York City. And there's a lot of people trying to do it, but I don't know that everybody succeeds. I'm not even trying to talk smack about anybody. It's just true. Some people do it better than others. That's fine. So I did that, but I kind of wanted to create a little package that you could take to your July 4th party, right? Easy peasy, no problem. And I did it with ABC beer. So the idea is you go in, you get some queso, you get some chips, and the red circle there is a michelada mix. Whoa. It was already pre-made, and a little thing of tahini for you to rim your glasses. So you get all that, get some beers, and off you go to your party.
Hell yeah. Ideal afternoon in general for me.
Absolutely.
This looks so good. My mouth is like watering. I should have.
Yeah.
Man.
It's the thing that I get in trouble for two things in my house with my girlfriend. One is bringing chips into the house, because how dare I bring chips into the house? But two is not leaving queso when I make queso. If I make queso, I have to leave extra, because I can't make it and not leave enough for her to snack on, because it is that vital to things in the world.
All right. So this masterpiece here.
So
we got more queso in the corner. Is that right? Okay.
Absolutely. And this is kind of the run of breakfast tacos, and the way we were doing at ABC. Well, I've been doing pop-ups there for a year, just kind of every now and again, not regularly, just kind of when it strikes our fancy. And so sometimes we'll do morning ones, sometimes we'll do night ones. It just kind of depends on what the needs are for our feelings. But it's kind of all about showcasing all of the breakfast taco ideas, all of the other tacos. I'm doing my fresh homemade flour tortillas with nixtamal chips, and then kind of switching out some corn tortillas here and there. People want different things. One of those, I can't remember which one it is, think it's the bottom left, is beef cheek barbacoa.
Whoa.
And I personally have a belief system that says that barbacoa needs to be done on corn, even though I love flour tortillas and I eat flour tortillas for everything, preferably. But for some reason, there's something about a corn tortilla with the red salsa, with a nice crystalline salt on top that you can feel the crunch with all the fattiness of the cheeks. It is just fabulous. So it's like my dream right there. If I could just do a barbacoa, like full on beef head every weekend restaurant, I absolutely would. That's what the world needs.
I thought it was so fun. So you had a pop-up here in Brooklyn a couple months ago already?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But I came and while people were waiting, you walked around giving us tortillas.
There's nothing like a fresh flour tortilla.
Oh my gosh.
Like
it was
right
delicious.
off the griddle. It is the greatest thing ever.
It was so fun. Speaks with Animals says, "Whoa, I know the deli." This is all weirdly in my wheelhouse. Awesome.
Yeah, they're great people. They did a little weekend or a week newsletter interview with me, and they were awesome. And there were amazing pictures. Big up Teddy. Teddy is a fabulous food photographer. And they were really cool. So anytime they would have any asks, I'm like, yeah, whatever you want, I'll make it. I'll show up. I'll do it.
Amazing. These are gorgeous. And I know everybody, I say it every week. You get real hungry when you watch this show. Get real hungry. So what's going on with this basket of goodness?
That was the first pop-up I ever did in New York. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe,
nice.
At Miscellanea. Rest in peace, Miscellanea. It was on 4th and Bowery. And there was usually a torta spot, Mexican tortas, and they sold like Mexican sundries. But they also had, a sandwich shop in the back. So I would do a little pop-up there on the weekends.
Cool.
And do breakfast tacos, the salsas. Gotta have your Topo Chico with your breakfast. So that was the beginning. It feels like yesterday, but it was so long ago that I've been doing it, kind of repping with the handmade tortillas and everything the whole time. They look
gorgeous.
That's what, and I'm not dissing any. I'm not getting angry about it or anything. But I'm I've been repping for breakfast tacos with handmade flour tortillas in Manhattan or in New York for 6 years now. I've been here. I've been doing this.
So, yes, you have. And speaking of the tortillas, here's a close-up, friends. Mm-hmm. Really nothing like a fresh one.
Absolutely.
Really. My gosh. Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing. So one of the things I think is interesting is there's this idea that, one, everybody in Mexico is making tortillas all the time. That's what you do.
Yes.
My mother has probably not made a tortilla in the last 70 years. She gave up making tortillas very early on.
Mom!
Yeah, it's just, she was like, that's too much work. I can find it. So really, one of the things that I don't think people understand is in Mexico, especially in northern Mexico, in the 80s, 90s, or even the 70s, you would not make your own tortillas. You always had a tortilla factory in your neighborhood.
Oh, yeah.
And you went to the tortilla factory in the morning, or for the weekend, you would go on Saturday morning or whatever, or Friday morning, and you would get the tortillas for the weekend, all on the butcher paper, fresh out of the factory, both corn and flour. But you would also get your eggs from them. Ooh. And your milk from them. It was like a full scale, everything that you needed fresh, you got from them. Dang. And so I actually didn't make tortillas, and my mom definitely didn't make tortillas when I was young. So I just figured out that I couldn't get flour tortillas in New York.
You really can't.
It's impossible.
I've been looking.
No, it's impossible. So I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to do this. And I tell this to everybody. If you think you don't know how to make pie, or you don't know how to make stew, or whatever, make it once a week for 2 months. And I guarantee you'll know how to make it at the end of that.
Yeah, that's good
you might fail. It might be terrible. But if you dedicate yourself to once a week, just doing it, at the end of that month and a half, 2 months, you will have nailed it. And that's basically what I did with tortillas. I just did it over and over and over again, trying different things, trying different flours, trying different lard, all the things. And, it just takes a little bit of perseverance. And now it's crazy too, because obviously the better you get at it, the faster you are. Yes. So before, it would take me 3 hours to make a dozen tortillas. And now it's just I can knock them out in 10 minutes, boom, you want a dozen? Done. Let's do this. Like super fast. So it's also worth it, you know, to learn that skill and to get something that you can just knock it out. It's easy.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. That's a good rally cry for like staying, you know, on top of something you want to learn. Oh my gosh, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because we have a hype train for the first time on my channel, or we're getting one. People are subscribing and cheering and stuff in the chat because, you know, they're enjoying themselves. Thanks so much, everybody. We're at 94% on a level 1 hype train. So to keep the train going, just either subscribe, gift a subscription, or use bits to get us to the next level. That is so sweet of you all. Oh my gosh, we're getting cheers. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Lucius. Thank you, Few Bad Dudes. Oh man, I'm just gonna I have to interrupt us with a little thank you video.
Yeah.
Thank you for continuing your subscriptions, Chris and Lucius. Happy to see you as always. Catching up on some comments here while we were talking about tacos. Speaks with Animal says, truth, breakfast tacos keep me in the I-35 corridor.
Yeah.
Taylor Z says, breakfast tacos, basically how I'm able to function Sunday mornings. Yeah. Can we get some eggs in the chat, my friend? If you are subscribed, you have access to my lovely pixel eggs that you can put in the chat. We've made it to the level 2 hype train.
Yeah.
We're at 42%. Thank you all. All of these hype actions, the subscriptions, the bits, helps me make this channel happen. And you can see that I've clearly upgraded over the last month with the layout. So I'm just very, very grateful to you all. And I want to keep doing this show and make it better for you. Wow. There's a lot of activity happening. We have Robert saying +1 to homemade tortillas. So good. Absolutely. We got a lot of hype and heck yes. Emily says, geez, this sounds like a freaking good technique or something. Because Jenn and so many of your guests say a similar thing, make the same or similar things over and over again. It's just practice and just being disciplined about it. Yeah, for sure. Oh, Emily, thank you for gifting subs to Taylor. That is so nice of you. Tortilla talk is good shit. Mm-hmm. Oh, thank you, Ochorobo, for the cheers. Oh my God. Ephemeridian also, thank you so much for lurking and for adding more bits into the chat. You all are so sweet to me. Thank you so much. Whoa, we're at 75% of the hype train. We might get to level 3.
Let's do it.
3 minutes. I hope so. I just love talking about food, you all. Yes. What does 6XJ Della Fried combo mean? I don't know what that means. Oh, wow. I don't know. Something just happened in the chat that I don't understand. But
it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. It's for getting more eggs in the chat. So when people subscribe to this channel, you get little special emoji or emotes that my friend Rachel Viola made, and they're just all eggs with different emotions. Oh, 6 people use the egg at the same time. Okay, I didn't know that was a thing you could do. That's so cool. I appreciate all the hype, everybody. But I'd love to continue our conversation about tacos. So we've spoken about tortillas, and so if I were going to riff in the kitchen on tacos in general, what are kind of the essential elements that you need to think about?
Well, let me preface this beforehand with, it's going to sound sacrilegious, but I promise you it's not sacrilegious. I don't love the idea of perpetuating tacos in and of themselves. And I'll tell you why. Sure. Because to me, tacos are a prepared taco is a thing you get when you're on the run, right? Like you're going somewhere, you're out, you've got to get some food. You go to a spot that has tacos, you grab a taco, you eat it, you go, right? When you're eating at home, the taco is what you make with all the things you have, right? Like it's not a prepared thing. It's not the center of what you're making. It's a happenstance after the effect, because Mexicans, like Ethiopians and Indians and everyone else in the world, we don't like to use utensils. We like to use food to grab the food. So that's the idea of the taco, is you should be making whatever food you want, and then eating it with tortillas and you can make a taco. You can just tear off a piece. Like if you've known old Mexican people or someone older than you, someone from the old country, like they're not likely going to make a taco with the food that you've given them. They're going to tear a piece off and then scoop and eat and dip and things like that. So I feel like people kind of put blinders on in thinking, oh, I have to put this into tortillas and that's what makes my taco. Flip that.
That's a great distinction. Yeah.
Think about all the food you want to eat and then just have tortillas on the side and then create whatever kind of taco you want.
Yeah.
Because I mean, yesterday, I'll give you a good example. It's the whole point of it is I had made some Japanese kombucha squash with some just shredded ginger on top. It was with some sake and it was really, really nice. But I was like, oh, okay, what do I have to eat this with? And I was like, I don't need anything. I got tortillas. So I just pulled out the tortillas, pulled out some salsa, boom. And that was delicious. It was so good. I charred the tortillas really well and put that in. I was like, oh, you get the sweetness of the sake and the squash, the spiciness of some salsa, and then the charred flavor on the tortilla. Like, perfect. So I'm kind of, my view is very much like the tortilla is the taco that you're thinking of, right?
Got it.
Have that as your given. And then riff. See what's in there. See what you've got to eat. Just go for it. And then, like we've mentioned before, it's not a time of day thing. It's not like, oh, you can only have this during them. Like my dad, who just passed away, R.I.P.
R.I.P.
He was famous in my family for always being like, no matter what time of day you said, I'm hungry, Dad, the answer was always, you want some eggs? Like that is the go-to, no matter what. And it's always available. And the best thing with a taco or in taco for me is always eggs.
Oh, I love that.
With any sort of fixins, like one of the things I've learned, it might be in a bad way, but it's more functional. So when I do pop-ups, I can't offer all the things I want to offer because in my mind, the things that you can put in a taco, especially a breakfast taco, is endless. Like I mean, it is wide open. Like and even stuff you'd never think of. But there's also stuff that are kind of staples, but nowhere else but in San Antonio or northern Mexico. So like eggs with hot dogs in a tortilla is the jam. It's the jam, and everyone eats it, but no one else knows about that or they're like, that's craziness. I'm like, no, it's not. It's awesome. It's perfect. It's everything you want.
In the Philippines, we do spaghetti with hot dogs.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, these are things, man. These are things that we do. But like that for me is kind of the palette is way broader. It's way less about like, oh, what components? I'm like, no. You start with the basic idea of that, like something is going into your mouth, period.
Yes.
Tortilla
I love that. And we got a comment here from Danelle. This is big brain taco moves. You're really blowing people's minds right now. I love that.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. And thank you to everybody who helped us with that hype train earlier. We got to level 2, which is the furthest I've ever gotten before. So thank you so much. I will be putting that money toward making this production better. So thank you. And I think you all got new emotes. I think it's a dog. It's saying choo choo, I believe. Is that it? Is that the new emote? I can't exactly see it because it's black and I can't see it behind the thing. But thank you all for supporting the channel. That means a lot to me. And yes, blowing our minds with new taco philosophy and ideas. So great. So good.
And if anything, the other thing I'll add is think about, so a lot of the ways that there's a lot of Mexican food that incorporates tortillas as opposed to just uses it as a taco. So chilaquiles, if you don't know that, it's like fried corn tortilla bits that you can either use chips with or make your own. And then they're kind of soaked in salsa, and then you can add an egg on top because that's awesome, and it's the way it should be done. You can add whatever else you want. You can add cheese, you can add sour cream, you can add whatever. I kept thinking someone was going to turn it into, just start calling it breakfast nachos just for a marketing thing.
I'm sure someone has.
I'm sure. But the ideas behind those are also dysfunctional, right? Like you do that, you make that because you've run out of full tortillas and you only have tortilla bits, or your tortillas got dry because you didn't finish the whole bag in time, and now they're kind of like not so great. Like the idea of what we said earlier with croutons and panzanella and things like that. Making migas, same thing.
I love
same
migas.
idea. It's your broken up pieces of corn tortilla with the eggs added in there. Like that to me, is way more like taking advantage of what the tortillas can do. Take the taco to the next level. Don't think about just a thing holding stuff. Think about that thing incorporated, that thing on top. One of my favorite things that is a super, super specific South Central Texas thing is a King Ranch chicken casserole.
What is
and
that?
It's a totally like from the 1930s, 40s thing. And it's only in this part of Texas, but it's basically like Tex-Mex lasagna.
Oh.
So it's, you take pulled chicken or boiled chicken, depending on however you want to make it. Rotel, which is canned onions, tomatoes, and green chilies. Like this is the old school way. You can make this the fancier way if you want. Rotel, cream of mushroom soup, because it's a casserole, so of course you need that. Velveeta, because of course it's a casserole.
Because Velveeta,
and then not cooked, raw, whatever, corn tortillas, and then you layer them.
Oh.
And then you top it with Monterey Jack cheese, and then casserole that, and it is the best thing in the world. It is so good, and it's undeniable. Even I usually make it with nicer stuff, like I make my own mushroom soup, and I make like all of it myself, not the canned stuff, and I use nicer cheese. Cheese is a whole other conversation we can get into.
Sure.
But that, even if you do the cheesy 1930s, 1950s housewife way,
still good.
It's amazing. And I really like it. I really like it cold, which doesn't make any sense. But the next day,
it's like congealed.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good. The
really
next day, hungover after a party, like after a potluck, and you got the leftover King Ranch. It is the greatest breakfast in the world. It's so good. It's so salty and kind of that cheese sweetness. Like, oh, it's everything. It's so good. But nobody knows about it.
Lots of reactions to this conversation. Hey, Schmoss, thanks for making it today. Taylor Z is just like, yes! Emily has heard about King Chicken Casserole, and Speaks with Animals is saying, oh my God, yes.
I'm a huge casserole guy, which I think people don't think that's okay anymore. I love casseroles, and I make casseroles out of everything, and King Ranch is one of my go-tos.
I live alone, and so I have like a smaller oval-shaped casserole that I use for just me. It does take me 2 days to still finish things, but maybe I'll try this now.
Oh, it's so good. It's like I actually use my like giant, whatever, 12-quart Crusette for my casseroles because I need that much. And I live with just my girlfriend, but we still eat it within like 2 days because it's that good.
That's incredible. I love that. And I like this distinction that you've made in the beginning about like taco is like a finished thing that you're taking to go. And like when you're at home, like maybe try to stretch out the definition of what a taco is or, you know, what tortillas can do. And I think that's a wonderful tool for people to take into the kitchen, especially if they're kind of new and afraid. That's just a great vehicle, really, to just get started. It's so cool. And, you know, you can fry chips.
Absolutely.
Out of that, yeah. They're just totally
nothing is better than freshly fried chips from the house. None of the store-bought ones will compare.
Yes, agreed. I love it when they get a little poof and they have the bubble. That's my favorite.
Oh, yeah. It's like thin and lacy. Have you heard of or ever had a Puffy Taco?
A Puffy Taco, have I? I don't think so.
So it's another San Antonio thing. Again, people don't know about it because people don't know about San Antonio. I'm here to represent San Antonio everywhere in the world.
Tell us.
So it's a San Antonio classic. It was created in San Antonio. Who developed it is debatable. It's between a couple of families, basically. But the idea is you take a fresh corn masa tortilla. So you haven't cooked it yet. You've just made it fresh. And you fry it.
Oh.
So while it's frying, it will blow up. It'll inflate. When it's inflated, you have to be really good at this. So this is the hard part. There's a lot of technique in it. Whoop. Yes, you got to hold the spatula right in the middle, and it folds up. So then you've got like a folded hard shell tortilla, but it's not because it's nice and flaky and light and fluffy. If you fried it at the right temperature, the right timing, you can then drain it so it won't be greasy. Because it's a fresh masa thing, so it reacts relatively quickly. And then you put in your picadillo or chicken or whatever, and then lettuce, tomato, cheese, like very Tex-Mexy, what everyone hates now. But I'm telling you, the combination of those things, that hot beef or hot chicken with the cold iceberg lettuce and salsa and cheese, and then the crispy outside. That's like you said, it's like basically that kind of chip, but one giant one.
A huge
It's
fan of
so
that.
good.
Wow.
And you don't really eat it with your hands because it'll fall apart immediately. So you just kind of pick on it with your fork and knife as well. But it is unbelievably good. And I was just listening to a podcast about that somebody was talking about them, and they're like, the reason they're not big isn't just that it's not popular, they're hard to make. It's hard to get right. It's not a technique that everybody can do. So if you're gonna try it out. But it may take you a few goes.
Let's see. Oh, it speaks with animals. It says like a sopapilla chip thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tex-Mex is still so good. Yes, you're right. Yeah. I never hated on it.
Thank you. I have another shirt design thing for Pistolero that it has a tattoo flash switchblade with a band that says "Defend Tex-Mex."
Yeah,
so that's what I'm here for. I'm here to defend Tex-Mex.
We got Shamas in the chat saying, I desperately want to try a Puffy Taco. I've only seen pictures.
So good. But you got to go to San Antonio. That's the thing. Or wait till I perfect it, and then I'll bring it out eventually.
You'll have your month and a half of perfecting, burning yourself on the oil.
Absolutely.
Let's see. I did a couple taco pop-ups myself, switching in a lot of ingredients from the Philippines. So I was doing adobo pulled pork taco. I do a green cabbage on top because cabbage stays so crunchy throughout the day, especially if you're doing a cookout outside. One of my favorite kinds of tacos that I learned about was the campechana or campechano. Sorry. Yep. Because specifically it uses longaniza, which is a sausage we also have in the Philippines. Yep. So there's this wonderful crossover, and it uses flour tortillas. And I enjoyed doing that pop-up for a long time. But, sourcing those flour tortillas was pretty difficult unless I took on the mantle of trying to make them myself. I was doing a round of bacon fat tortillas myself. But, it ends up feeling really, really greasy.
That's the thing. One of the things that I learned while I was doing my own workshop is I tried all the different kinds of lard I could. And the one that I've settled on two. One in particular that is the kind of the platonic ideal for me is if you can get really good leaf lard. To me, that's the best because it doesn't have a lot of flavor, but the texture is perfect.
It's like, ooh.
It stays colder longer. It stays a little bit harder than the others. But it's still soft. So it's somewhere between a tallow and a bacon fat.
Right.
The bacon grease is a little too fatty and a little too soft.
Yeah.
But then I found another lard that it's not leaf lard, but it is pork, but it's made by these guys. It's a Polish butcher shop in my neighborhood over here in the East Village.
Interesting.
And they do their lard with onions.
Ooh.
So it's got an onion flavor. There's no onions in it when the final product, but there's onion in the way that when they reduce it to get it out.
The ghost of an onion.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like it was there. But it's just like when if you eat fried chicken in the South most of the time, or even fries, most of those places do their onion rings in the same place as their French fries, and that's why the French fries taste really good because they taste like onions. Same thing for the fried chicken. That's one of the secrets is you put in onions first and fry them up and then take them out, and you just have that flavor. So what I found is that lard gives you a flavor that's very savory, but it's not particular. So it's not like bacon where it's like, oh, this tastes like bacon. They just taste really savory without putting your finger on what that is. So super, super, like a big fan now. But like I said, leaf lard is still like platonic ideal. They taste super clean, and then you only taste whatever you're making the taco out of with the deliciousness and the malleability of the delicious lard. But a little onion flavor does not hurt.
It does not hurt. Shmaz has a comment here. I saw an ad for leaf lard the other day, and I thought it was someone being trendy and making vegan lard, but Google revealed I am just very wrong.
No, it's actually weird because I've gone to I've basically I go to every butcher shop and just look and talk and check what they have just to see what I can find that's new. And I have gone into many butcher shops in New York City where they don't know what leaf lard is. So don't feel surprised that you don't know, because even the pros don't know.
Sometimes, yeah.
And just if anybody doesn't know, so leaf lard is the fat that's taken from inside. So it's from around all the organs inside the animal rather than the back fat or the belly fat. It's on the inside, so it's super soft, but it also doesn't taste very heavily of the meat because it's on the inside. So fabulous to work with. Highly recommend it. Find some, taste it, work with it. Totally it's great for pastries.
Yeah, actually, we've got a comment from Robert who said +1 to leaf lard. It's also best for making biscuits.
Absolutely.
Totally. And then you got a head explode from Grizzy. Like, oh, you blew my mind.
I'm a big fan of learning everything I can about fat.
I love that. What a sentence. What a sentence. Oh, goodbye, Speaks with Animals. Thanks for hanging out in the chat. What time is it? Let's see. Is there anything else you would like to tell the folks about just maybe something you've learned along the way in your exploration of tacos?
Well, one of the things that I think is important for people to understand, or people don't know and should know, and you kind of touched on it a little bit with your pop-up talk.
Mm-hmm.
There's this idea somehow that Mexican food is the silo, right? Like there's this authentic thing that Mexican food is, and everything that's outside of that is not Mexican food anymore. I've done the research. I've been Mexican my whole life.
Yes.
And one of the things that's super interesting to me is that Mexican food in and of itself is also a melting pot, right?
Yes.
Like, it's
not a monolith.
Exactly. It's super influenced by Arab food. That's why you get tacos al pastor, and that's how you get the bigger flour tortillas that are fluffier, because that's supposed to be like your naan bread or the roti, or like all of those things are how it got there. Like you said, longaniza is a thing that they use in Mexico. It's not a Mexican sausage. Chorizo is a very specific thing to Mexico, but that was influenced by everybody else, all of Portugal, all of Spain, all of Italy. That's one of the reasons I do the things that I do particular to northern Mexico, because we are particularly influenced by different parts of the world rather than the south of Mexico. So San Antonio, for some reason, became a haven for people from the Canary Islands. So there's a lot. That's why they use cumin so much.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's all these weird things. So when people, I've come across this issue in New York particularly, is that people think that they've learned a lot about Mexican food by eating at good places in New York, which they absolutely have.
Yeah,
I get it.
okay,
That's fine.
Yeah.
But they have a prejudice against flour tortillas, because they're like, no, that's not real tortillas from Mexico. Real Mexicans only eat corn tortillas. And I'm like, well, that's not true.
You're Mexican.
Exactly. And the idea is, if you know anything about Texas and northern Mexico, there was a lot of missionary work, right? That's who settled in those areas, because no one else wanted to live there. It was too hot. So the missionaries went, and the missionaries were all from Italy and Spain and Portugal. And they realized that up in that part, you couldn't grow corn as readily, but you could grow wheat. And they loved wheat. And so they were like, great, we'll grow wheat here, and we'll use flour for everything that they would normally use corn for. So flour tortillas have been a thing in that area of the world for easily 400 years. So it's not a new thing that people just found out, because it was highly influenced by these other areas. So pan dulce, Mexican sweet bread deliciousness. Napoleon owned Mexico for 100 years, right? That was another empire that took over. There's tons of Germans and Czechs all over Central and South Texas because of multiple reasons. But, again, the empire was Austrian when they were first taken over. So there's tons of German influence. Texas sausage, which is one of my favorite things in the world.
Oh, so
hot
good.
Guts are the greatest thing. And super peppery. And yeah, that's the only place that calls them hot guts. But they were, the only reason they exist is because there were so many Germans. And the Germans were like, well, we know how to make sausage, and there's a lot of beef. So we'll make sausage
Why
here.
not? Yeah.
And then that led to, okay, how do we make this something that people hear like, oh, you like it spicy? We'll add a lot of pepper, jalapeno, cheese. Okay, that's a special sausage for you. So unlike this monolithic idea that, oh, Mexican food is just this thing, like it's from all over. It is, there's Japanese influence on the West Coast and Chinese influence. Like there's like my mom's hometown, which is also in the North, hundreds of years of Chinese immigrants that had lived and created their own communities. Like it is just as much a immigrant culture as the United States is. And you got to look at it that way, because then you'll understand why it's evolved the way it has, and why no one there believes like this like strict rules of like, no, you can't do that. That's not Mexican food. I would never eat that. Like there are certain people who feel that way, but really on the ground, no. You eat everything that there is that's delicious because we like to eat.
Yeah. And speaking of eating more things, I think we're about time for the last segment of the show. Before we do that, thank you, Hiccup Truck. Thank you, JV, for subscribing for 3 months in a row. That is so nice of you. Thanks for supporting the channel. And we're gonna read in the intro for our last segment, friends. Let's pretend we're on Chopped. So if you don't know this TV show, there's a basket with 4 mystery ingredients in it, and chefs have to use them to make a dish. So in our case, you, the chat, will tell us what's in the basket. Oh, is that an animal?
That's my dog. He just got home.
We love dog cameos.
If I can grab him, well, you do your intro, and if he walks over here for me to be able to grab him, I'll show him off.
So chat, please tell us what's in the basket. The first 4 in the chat will be the ones that we use. There are no wrong answers. The purpose of the exercise is just think about how far ingredients can go and maybe inspire your next meal. I'll go through each of the ingredients individually, but just feel free to just start telling us how you would combine 2, 3, or all 4 of the ingredients. Imagine that you have a basic pantry and all the tools and time you need. Just remember, feature stuff in the basket. So let's go, friends. What do we have in the chat? Please let us know. Hi, puppy. What's your name of your puppy?
This is Showbiz.
Showbiz. Hi, Showbiz.
Showbiz, ladies and gentlemen. Showbiz.
How old is Showbiz?
He just turned 3 on Saturday.
Oh, happy birthday. Okay, so far in the chat from Grizzytron, we got eggplant. Good vehicle there. Emily says brisket. Okay. Get some Texas in there. Just need 2 more ingredients, my friends. I feel like we've talked about eggplant a bunch here on the stream. It can be burnt to a crisp, but the inside will be super, super soft and tender and blendable for any kinds of sauces or dip situation. Leaf lard.
Yeah, we've got our leaf lard.
And tortillas. Leaf lard and tortillas. We'll see what we can do with that. We can see what we can do with that. But eggplants, they can be roasted, they can be grilled, they have that purple skin that you can peel off, but a lot of the time when it's a softer eggplant, like a Japanese eggplant, you can eat the skin. Usually a lot more nutrients in there, but for the bigger bulbous eggplants, that skin is a little bit tougher. It can be marinated, it can be a carpaccio. There are just so many treatments that you can work with, and it's great as fries also if you treat them with some cornstarch. For brisket, it's a large cut of meat, a large cut of beef that is simply prepared with salt and pepper most of the time and just smoked for a very, very long time until it's fallen apart, basically. There's usually a fatty end and then a lean end. I prefer the fatty end.
Smart.
Yeah. Usually served in slabs, but there are various ways that you can serve it. Just know that the brisket is like smoke, salt and pepper, large cut of beef. The leaf lard we spoke about earlier. It's from the interior of the, did you say organs or?
Yeah, around all the organs inside.
Around all the organs. It's pork mostly, right?
Yes.
Yes. And then we talked about tortillas for a while, my friends. There are so many kinds of tortillas. From corn to flour, and then all these alternative flours are also becoming available at specialty stores and in the vegan aisle at Whole Foods. So there's a lot to play with here. Hey, Pybrary, you're here. Oh, you made it home. I'm so glad you got home safely. Yes, we do love a theme here, Schmas. So friends, please just start shouting out how you would combine eggplant, brisket, leaf lard, and tortillas. You don't have to use all 4, so just pick 2 and go with it if you're getting stumped. But the thing that I like to do is to think about breakfast or lunch or dinner or a soup or a sandwich. Like, think of something you already know how to make, and then swap in these things. So let's see what you got, friends. Miguel, do you have any initial ideas already?
I do. I always
What's
do.
up?
So my go-to for everything, and this is also just a Mexican thing, is you can always make a quesadilla. Always.
Yes.
With everything. It's just a given. Like at any hour of the day and with anything in the house. Because I always have cheese and I always have tortillas. So it's a given. But looking at these ingredients, I would totally do quesadilla with the idea of it replacing a torta. So say you don't have the telera bread, you don't have the right bread.
Yeah.
So one thing that is a staple in Mexican sandwiches is the Milanesa, which is again Italian. You stole that from the Italians.
Yeah.
But you can do it with eggplant. So eggplant parmesan, you take the thinly sliced thing, but bread it, fry it, take that. It's another thing that I don't think understand enough. When you're doing something like that, when you fry your eggplant or you fry your chicken, whatever it is, fry it the day before.
Oh.
Leave it, let it chill out, put it in the fridge, work with it the next day. It's so much better the next day.
Really?
And it works better in a sandwich when it's already been cold. So that's tip number 1.
Oh, wow.
But I would make some flour tortillas with your leaf lard. Take that tortilla, take the Milanesa of eggplant that you made the day before. So thinly sliced, like not, maybe 1/4 inch. So not super thin, but
like
thinly
on a
sliced.
mandolin or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That, yeah.
Breaded, fried. Put that in there. A dash, not too much brisket, but some brisket will give you some wetness, which is really nice.
Right.
But cover that in cheese. Top it with a tortilla. And there's another one. You make it all like meat. You let a quesadilla rest. People always want to cut it right away. Give it a little time. Let it chill out. Let it congeal a little. Again, because it's cheese, it has moisture, right? And when you heat it up, the moisture comes out. You do want the cheese to make a little skirt on the quesadilla, because that's what's good in a quesadilla, but also just give it a break so that all the wetness will kind of get together, and then chop that, and you're going to get so many textures. You're going to get the fattiness of the brisket if you get the fatty end. You get the crispiness and also the bitterness of the eggplant, which is also super important. And then the sweet cheese, flour tortilla, you're in heaven.
That sounds great.
Cheese-wise, I would recommend, and this is another thing that I could pontificate about for hours. If you can find Chihuahua cheese, highly recommend it. If you can't find Chihuahua cheese, look for what they call quesadilla cheese. It sounds cheesy, but no pun intended. But the thing is, so there's a company in Chicago who patented the name Chihuahua cheese. So no other company can sell Chihuahua cheese under the name Chihuahua cheese. So people had to do a workaround. So they called it quesadilla cheese. But to me, it's a northern cheese from Chihuahua. So it's different. And a lot of people, like kitchen people that I've worked with in the past that are all from Puebla, because Puebla, York, but they don't even know it. They're like, what's Chihuahua cheese? I've never heard of it. It's a super great melting cheese. Ooh. It is a white, semi-soft cheese, and it melts like no other. And when it when you fry it,
and crispy skirt,
that is way better than any other Mexican cheese. So if you can find Chihuahua cheese, that's the ultimate quesadilla from this one. I swear it'll be delicious.
So good. Ooh, Aaron, great to see you. Thanks you for following the channel, and great hanging out with you last night. We're getting some ideas here in the chat. From Schmoss, we say leaf lard eggplant fries would be supremely good. Yes. Emily's saying, I'm thinking leaf lard ham pies filled with the brisket and a garlicky eggplant dip.
Yeah.
Yo, you making me so hungry. You're making me so hungry. Ooh, wait, follow up. Ooh, with some caramelized onions tucked in with the brisket in the hand pies. I like the way you're thinking here. I love flautas. So I would do a brisket flauta and then do eggplant salsa.
Delicious.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Or eggplant pico in some way. Because you can salt the eggplant slices to get a lot of that moisture out, and then cube it, and then kind of treat it like a carpaccio or like a ceviche with a lot of acid. Let it marinate for a while, and then it'll soften up and be great with some onions and jalapeno and I don't know, a salt and pepper, lime.
The thing I've been adding a lot to like picadillos or ceviches or anything where you can have a bunch of diced veg recently, one is because I like it in the summer, is jicama to everything.
Yes.
Because it just takes in the flavor of whatever it is, and you get crunchiness. Or mirlitons, chayotes.
Oh, chayote, yeah.
So it depends on where you're from. I didn't realize it was a big New Orleans thing. But mirlitons are a big New Orleans thing, and they're chayotes. And I was like, I had no idea. I have a friend from New Orleans. She was like, have you ever had mirlitons? And I'm like, I don't know what that is. And she showed it to me. I'm like, I'll tell you about chayotes. We have chayotes. I had no idea, but they make soup out of it, which is crazy. Never would have thought of that. I put it in my tuna salad because I love chayote.
My mom puts jicama in lumpia, which is our egg rolls.
Yeah.
Here we got another comment from Shmas. Kind of want this to be a curry, maybe something like masaman with the brisket. Okay, an eggplant, and then just scoop it up with the tortillas.
I'm on board with all of that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. I just love a very simple, just garlic eggplant. I just love that. Like, just together. We could grill a bunch of eggplant, get a bunch of garlic, maybe we haven't even done a sandwich, we haven't really done a sandwich. You do a brisket sandwich with slabs of eggplant parm situation, like a stack, like a Dagwood. That'd be really cool. Okay, so for people who are just joining the chat, we are trying to figure out how would you cook eggplant, brisket, leaf lard, or tortillas in a dish. So open to all of your ideas. I'm loving everything so far that everybody's been putting in. Don't feel like you're pressured to answer right now either. You can always tweet me later. I love hearing about your ideas. So that's my Twitter, just so you know.
Also, as a callback, what you could easily do is a lasagna casserole with all of these.
Yes, you could. Oh, man. Dude.
So good.
What was the name of it again? It was a
King Ranch chicken casserole.
King Ranch, but this time with brisket and eggplant.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. Oh, yeah, here we go. More follow-up from Shmas. Like a beef stew casserole. Same vibe as King Chicken using the tree.
Yeah, there you
go. No, you're not too slow. It's just the chat is a little delayed. That's all. Yeah, Emily says an eggplant and brisket Napoleon Dagwood style tortillas as the layers. So just like a woo.
And again, similarly, is another tip for lasagna or anything that you've got layered like that. Make it the day before.
Yes.
Then chill it. Then cut it the next day.
It'll be more solid to cut,
way. Yeah, it works. That's how every restaurant does it. It's one of those restaurant things that people don't know. But man, you can save so much time and it tastes so much better. And it's like not falling apart and all like, wait, where did all the delicious juices go? Like, do it before.
Yeah, I definitely wrote an article about why you should have chili the next day. It's the same thing. Those volatile spice oils are melding with the food. It's all setting together very well. So yeah, that same logic applies. Robert has a idea here. Could you do a riff on Szechuan twice fried eggplant in the leaf lard, of course, with shredded brisket on top, tortillas to scoop it up? Yes, this is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. Yes. So good.
I would dust that eggplant with some cumin because cumin is awesome.
And an Asian thing as well.
Absolutely.
It totally goes well in that flavor profile. Shmas has a follow-up for that casserole. Cut it cold, bread it, and deep fry that in the leaf lard. See you later, everybody. I've died.
And then take a nap.
It's very sleepy after eating one corner of it. And then Emily's saying, or with crispy fried tortillas on top for crunchy texture. This is going with the Szechuan twice fried eggplant. Excellent collaboration, friends. I love that. Does anyone else have any ideas? Again, the ingredients we're working with are eggplant, leaf lard, brisket, and tortillas. Any kind of tortilla, actually. So don't feel limited by the flours that you're thinking of, flour or corn or alternative. Emily says, I have never in my life thought about deep frying casserole. Wow. Unfortunately, I have.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why, I feel sluggish sometimes because I've eaten a block of food. My friends, keep spouting out ideas, or if you're feeling, that you might need to think about it, please do tweet me your ideas later. Shema says, I feel like I saw it on diners, drive-ins, and dives or something. LOL.
Triple D.
Triple D. My guy, Guy Fieri. My papa. I call him senpai because he was very kind to me when I was starting out as a chef. So if
I'm
anyone
a big
has
fan.
if anyone has any Guy Fieri hate, please leave the channel.
Absolutely.
Please get out of here because he is my papa. Friends, last call for ideas on how you would combine that eggplant, that brisket, that leaf lard, and our tortillas. Yes, this is a Guy Fieri respect zone. Yes, I absolutely, Grizzy. Absolutely.
So I've got one more idea. So to add to it, in case others don't. So take the idea of migas and meld that with Spanish tortilla. Put all these together, delicious omelet tortilla. Again, cook it beforehand, chill it, do it the next day. Perfect.
I love that. That's such a great idea. And Ephemeridian says there's no room for hate in Flavor Town.
That's right.
True. Very true. Well, friends, I think we're going to wrap it up for today. Thank you all so much for your ideas. If you have more ideas on how you would mash up those things, please tweet them to me. It's my Twitter going across the bottom here. But I would love to take this time, Miguel, to tell everybody what it is you're up to next. Do you have any pop-ups coming up, or how can people support and follow you?
Nothing exactly on the board right now. There's always something. It usually pops up out of nowhere for me, so that's good. But I'm always on the internet. I'm always doing something there. I also DJ country music for fun, so I'll do DJ events in August for sure. I might be doing a special salsa for that event. We'll see how the next few weeks
drop at the country DJ night.
I'm experimenting. I might be doing my own fresh chamoy because I've been trying to make chamoy happen in New York City, and no one has really been able to do it. So I might be doing that soon. But yeah, I'm always out and about doing something. So just check in on the Instagram. That's usually where the first announcements go out for everything. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right, friends, make sure you're following Salsa Pistolero on Instagram. Thank you so much, Miguel, for spending your early evening with me and showing us your dog friend.
My pleasure.
Yes. So, friends, we are taking just personal updates from me. Some of my recipe Patreon things are going to be a little late. Just because it's been a busy week. We have the live show. Speaking of Fun City, the next episode is coming out in 3 weeks. It's going to be the thrilling conclusion of our Still Fleet arc, Float City. I hope you all love it. We worked really hard on it, and I'm very proud of the ending. Not everything is forever. I'm so sorry. But we will be returning to Shadowrun after we get a couple of practice games in. And next week, our guest is going to be Tommy Siegel, who is an illustrator, and he has a couple books out of comics and doodles. And we're going to be talking about food doodles, or how to draw food. So it's going to be a whole different vibe from this taco talk. But I'm excited to do it. We'll see you next week, Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, here on Attack the Pantry. Miguel, if you don't mind sticking around while I play us out. Thank you, everybody. And I just stay safe out there. I know it's like thunderstorming and there's like weird fog in New York because of smoke. So just please be careful, wear your mask, be safe. I like you all. And thanks for all the support, friends. I might try to raid somebody after this. So stick around in the chat after I put up the goodbye screen. But thanks, everybody. Later. Bye. Thank you so much for being here. I like you. I'm doing this too slow. Later, everybody.